Well, let's hope there's not fighting in the streets. But hey, good morning. This is Modified Darvas Box coming at you with a weekend review video. It's been a while, but now we've got some exciting things going on in the market. Woo! And so I thought I would do a weekend review video and go over some stocks. Yay! I was going to do it yesterday, but I went to the beach instead. Yay, living in Florida. And, you know, in many ways, going to the beach is more important than sitting at home looking at charts. But, you know, charts aren't bad. I love charts. I relax to charts. So let's get into this video. We've had some real a bad stretch these last 3 weeks. Some people have lost a lot of money. Some haven't. Some have read the signals and the signs, and some haven't. Some rely on moving averages, and well, I guess that's one way to make money. I don't really particularly care much for them, but you know, it is what it is. But for anyone who follows my Twitter or my StockTwits account, you know that I've been doing this a long time. I'm an independent investor trader, and that I've developed a very unique trading system based on the book How I Made $2 Million in the Stock Market by Nicholas Darvas. And then I've also added trading elements and concepts from the Strat strategy. And as a result, my charts look a little different from a lot of other people. And I look for signals, valid trading signals, rather than just, oh, it's bouncing off the 50 or it's hitting the 200-day moving average or things like that. In my opinion, my system's a lot more definite, and it either is or it isn't. And in my opinion, it leads to higher probability trades and situations. Yeah, I made my first trade in 1995, so yeah, man, I've been around. But, you know, everybody develops their own voice, their own technique, so hopefully you do that as well. Feel free to copy any concepts or ideas that you like. You know, ask me any questions. You know, most questions I'll answer. Will I share my template? No, I will not. But, you know, to persevere, develop your own stuff. For new people who have never seen my charts or anything, you see my charts have boxes, which are box ranges. My core time frame is weekly time frame. And yeah, and then there's colors of the bars. You know, these grays are inside bars. Inside bars are 50-50 bars. You know, 50-50 because it either breaks above it or breaks below it. But they're valid trading signals. But I've got other colors on here. Let's see. Arc is always good for one. I've got pink bars called shooter bars or outside bars. Yellow bar buy signals right here, very bullish bars. You've got in orange hammers, or the opposite of that is a shooter. Hammers are very bullish. And then the last one is blue, which are bullish bars, but you got to take them with kind of a grain of salt, because in many times a blue bar will show up and it can be more of an exhaustion bar than launch a new trend bar. But either way, it's all about trading by colors. You know, if you took this yellow bar signal here and bought some, you did pretty darn good on that. So I look for signals, and then we've got the box ranges here. Boxes aren't magic. They're just bases, so to speak. But base framing is something which most people don't do, and because there's only 3 states of trend. There's upward trend, there's a downward trend, and there's a sideways trend. That's it. So keep your trading as simple as possible. So anyways, today is Sunday the 23rd, 10:44 a.m., and we'll try not to go too long, but it's been a while, and there's a lot of interesting charts to look at. I've got 6 watch lists I constantly move stocks around with. And I always start with the indexes because I want to get the big picture, right? And in terms of big picture, let's actually look here first. NAM exposure number, 86.56. Last quarter, it was 86. No real change here. You see this right here? So we hit a high of 100 and then sold down the next 3 weeks, 90, 87, 86. Whoopsie, we don't want that. Uh, but, is sentiment really down, really bearish? Come on, no. Are you kidding? It's been up in the 80s forever. So everybody is still bullish. Even though they've gotten some bloody noses, I don't see any panic or anything like that. There's panic on Twitter, but panic on Twitter doesn't really count. So, anyways, let's look here at the first one, the AMZ MLPs. You had a nice uptrend going back all the way from here, and now it's running into a little bit of trouble. I own a few MLPs in my income account. They pay out monthly and quarterly dividends. Traders, you need income. Just living off capital gains alone ain't going to do it. Income. Get income. How do you do it? Buy MLPs. But that's looking sideways. And notice this, back to MLPs. If I don't like it, you go to a monthly chart. See? Since I'm a long-term holder, I'm more interested in the monthly than I am in the daily. And the monthly looks fabulous. Still above the one moving average I use. And still an uptrend. So time frames can be very important. So keep that in mind as well. By the way, my charting program here is TC2000. I love it. I think it's a wonderful program. If you're interested, check it out. I only use the gold tier, or what's called now the new premium tier. But get yourself a good charting program. That always helps because you need to build your system. Okay, ARC. Well, you see here, box breakout right here, sort of lower volume, but what did it do? It went up, and now it's come back and it's broken the box level. If you're a trader, you may have bought here. Well, where are you going to sell? Sell right here. Don't lose money. Now, you probably would have sold in here, maybe, but your ultimate stop would have been, a smidge above your cost. And now look at it. It's broken this moving average on some big volume. But is that an ending? An ending puke out? Or is it going to continue to go down? Some things suggest that that's an ending puke, where the panic sellers finally puked out some stock, which could be the case, but we'll see what happens. At the moment, we don't know. BZJ oil's been threatening to go up, like a Darvas box breakout here. This is a proxy for oil. Ever since here, it sort of went, sideways, and now the trend is back. But it's not a huge, strong trend, but it does not mean your gasoline prices are going to go down anytime soon. These two things here are CLOs, something I'm just trying to track a little bit for the housing market, but it's just experimenting, not really part of a method. NASDAQ, this is the big one here. So this was the tariff tantrum. And sentiment was so down here, it gave you the buy signal here. If you weren't sure about it, you got the yellow bar signal here to get back in. And then you had this lovely uptrend. And a couple warning shots here and here. A couple warning shots. And then right there's the little peak up. But notice it didn't change color. So, and then 3 down. So to me, this looks benign. It's forming a new box, which I could start drawing like so. That's how I'll draw them. But the low is not set, so I'm not going to draw it. I'm going to leave it alone. These things take time to build. Ethereum, God, what a trash garbage dump this thing is. It had this ripper move here. Look at all the volume. Money came in, went up here, formed a little bit of a sideways box, and then clunk right back down. I mean, honestly, if crypto's supposed to be the next thing, it needs to do better than that. FFTY, the long uptrend here, a little bit of a warning signal here. A bearish shooter bar here, that's a warning signal. Then people just piling in here because gamblers going to gamble. It's funny crowd behavior when you get warning signals. And what do people do? They can't accept even 1 or 2 weeks down. So it keeps going up, gets more unstable, and then clunk, 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 clunk. And by the way, that's a white bar sell signal. And we got selling here. This is a proxy for growth. Growth has taken some real hits here. Definitely taken some hits. Oh, let's look at the monthly. Anything going on in monthly? Yeah, look at that. There's a hammer, a shooter, and then it had the breakout, went up, and then clunk, gave it all right back. Doesn't mean it's over, but it's kind of ugly. China. Well, you had the big move in China here, back here, with the volume. And volume is important. Don't let anybody tell you that volume is not important. Don't let anybody try and convince you that volume is dirty. That's just sleight of hand, trying to confuse you. Volume is volume. It is what it is. Buyers here, sellers here. Tells you what the big money's doing. There's where volume was buying in. And after that, things went quiet and went to uptrend. But then we get a signal here. Then up here. And ever since this signal right here, things have been going sideways. That's a bullish signal, but look at the volume sequence here. Big red followed by green, not as much. Tells you that buyers are interested, but they didn't deploy their full buying power, so to speak. And so you get the big box range here, and China's forming an uptrend. Now, is China going to drop downwards here? If it does and it holds down, well, then that uptrend is dead. Should you be buying China right here? No. Should you be selling it? No, unless you really hate it. Wait and see what happens. Gold, the big kahuna trend here. Let me double check and see, make sure my mic is on. Is my mic on? Yes, it is on. Check that just because I've done it a few times where I've goofed and the mic has been off. So I want to double check that. So look at gold. Gold with the amazing breakouts here, moves in here, just keeps going up. Breakout here, box breakout. I should have a little circle on that one. Box breakout all the way down there. Signal, goes sideways, rebuilds, breakout over here. That's probably right there. Look how tiny this is on the chart. Yet if we go all the way back, that looks pretty significant, huh? It shows you what a lovely trend gold has had. And this here also gets another volume. I circle volume that I think is important, or it's the breakout week. See, it broke out on volume. That's good. It means you got buyers in the right spot. And this base right here, this one didn't break out on big volume, but again, if you believed in gold, it gave you opportunities to get out and then opportunities to get back in. So you could have bought it and sat on it and been fine just watching the trend, or you could have traded it in and out and you'd still have captured the bulks of the trend. You just got to be able to recognize the signal here and the signal here. And then we move higher, and then a breakout here. And then we run into some trouble here, but look at this. Buy, 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 huge buying. Where were these people back down here? Talk about being late to the trade. You're buying here when you could have bought all the way back here, 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 here. Give me a break. So chasers get punished, and they did, and sellers here, but notice how it's going quiet. And you had an inside week right here, gray inside, popped up, Sure, you could have bought some, but you're a little late, not the best spot. But notice how the volume's just going quiet and the sideways is going quiet. This is just consolidating for another move higher, in my opinion. Pretty cool on trend following, huh? HYG high yield bonds. Well, going a little sideways, but that's a decent sign right there. But the reason why I tracked junk bonds is because they're very sensitive to the economy. If junk bonds start crashing, then the market's going to have big problems. Check this out. Insurance. If you're not a trader and you're more of an investor, this is something you want to be interested in because it's had a lovely long base consolidation for almost a year. And now you got a yellow bar buy signal and you've got a bullish hammer right here on big volume. Look at the size of that volume bar. Insurance probably is going to probably start a leg up. If you're running a long-term portfolio, buy this. This is an insurance ETF, IAK. Look at the monthly. There's your monthly Darvas box right there. At some point, it's going to pop up, and the uptrend's going to continue. You see how this long-term shit works? The only difference between this main and this core view is this one has relative strength. See the RS right there is perking up? It had RS here and then lost it, went quiet, and now it's perking up again. Maybe it's the same right here when it perked up and had a nice little run. So insurance. Keep your eyes on that. Bitcoin. Look at that. Darvas box here, breakdown here. Bitcoin, this is a proxy via IBIT. White bar sell signal, then went to an inside bar, 50-50. Did it resolve? Well, it tried to go a little higher, but you'd have been a fool to buy that one. And now sort of, churned in here and then clunk, clunk, clunk. You think any Bitcoin holders would have liked to have sold up there? Yeah, well, that's because, you got to read the market. Software, box breakdown, broke below the moving average. And look at this volume, 1, 2, 3, keeps getting bigger. Maybe software's got some problems here. Housing, breakdown here, but ooh, there's a bullish hammer. But it's coming down here, so maybe that's a kind of a bottom for housing. If interest rates go lower and people start buying homes again, then yeah, maybe it's a bottom. Do I want to buy housing right now? Is this my number one? No. But is housing going to be crashing, going down further? Probably not. Well, we'll see. The key thing about this is the signal doesn't tell you what to do. The reaction to the signal tells you what to do. Because the reaction is white bar sell signal. Should you be selling it, shorting it here? No, because it went back up. Let's find signal here. Reaction, it triggered lower. Yeah, sell it, get bearish. Look at that. Bullish signal right here. What did it do? It puked downwards. Don't do anything. Yeah, you may have bought it in this little upwards range right here, but then you'd have wanted to have sold it really fast. Like, buy, it's going up, it's bullet. Oh, Jesus Christ, sell it, sell it, sell it. And look, it just then went down and went sideways more. That's how you read signals. It's the signal and then the reaction to the signal. IWC, Russell. Now, technically, I shouldn't really put this box range here because this low is not set. Here's a bearish shooter bar. Well, should you have been selling? No, not really, because the market prices kept going higher. See this reaction right here? Bearish bar, higher reaction. It opened high, it closed up here. So would you be selling this? Maybe if you don't believe in it. But there's your ultimate your ultimate uh, sell range right there, the yellow line. Now you could have been selling it right there, but it's not all the way down. I'd say that's your sell line. Your sell line, or at least your line to keep to mark this positive, negative. But you see, it gave a signal. Then the momentum kept going a couple weeks later, and then it crapped out. Then it sort of went up. They're just fighting it. No, we got to be bullish. And this is where buyers are fighting the sellers. That's a good read on that one. Okay, should I have done this one? Probably. That'll probably stick. If it doesn't, I'll move the box. But look at this one. Warning signal here. Bearish bar here. Oh, it closed higher here, but that's a 50-50 gray bar. And it went a little higher and then immediately started selling. If you're bearish, you'd have been shorting it up in here. And then down, down. But now we got a bullish hammer. So we got to see how the reaction goes again. Is the reaction going to be higher? Or is the reaction going to be lower? We don't know. Maybe I'll take that off. Healthcare. Here's the one bullish one. Is healthcare bullish? Damn, what the hell's going on? Look at that breakout right there. Higher, higher, higher. I don't know what's going on in healthcare, but that's not bearish. So this actually tells us that healthcare stocks, we probably want to be looking at healthcare stocks more than technology stocks. Transportation index, look at that, sideways. It keeps trying to break out, but then we get big red, big red, big red. I don't know what's going on, but at least we can tell sideways. It's not getting crushed like maybe other sectors or things like that. QQQ. Again, tariff tantrum, the huge statement of intent, the buyers, the yellow bar signal for all the late chasers, and then the big uptrend. And then there's your bearish signal. And this one triggered right away. As soon as it goes below that yellow line, short it, sell it. You gotta understand what the signals are and what they mean, and then how you react. If you ignored it, you took the pain here. But look at this. There's a big volume bar here. So maybe people started really puked. It's bigger than the sell bar from right here. So maybe that's a puke out, and prices might go higher simply because there's no more sellers. If prices go higher, then we got a box range. So I don't know. We'll see. The odds say that based on the volume, already I think we're probably gonna either go sideways, maybe a little bit green this next week. So we'll see. RSP. Look at that. A really narrow, tight box range. Went downwards, but then look at the volume. That's buyers stepping up. I hate to say it. Buyers stepping up. And here's an example of buyers stepping up also. When you had the box breakdown right here, see the volume? Well, what happened the next week after? You had green volume. Buyers stepped up. If you're sitting on the sidelines, oh, they sold it? I'm buying. They're selling. I'm buying. You see how that works? But then sellers came back again. No, man, we got to sell. We got to sell. We got to sell. Sell it all. I'm terrified. And meanwhile, what did the buyers do? It's down here. I'm buying in size. Look at that. By the way, this is the biggest weekly volume ever in RSP. And it appears that they're probably buying. Are we going to be crashing this next week? Maybe not. You see how to read this stuff? RDH, retail. Now, keep in mind, Amazon's in this also, but retail keeps going higher. A bit of a mess here with the tariff stuff, but overall higher, a nice box range. Has it crashed? No. We saw that those indexes got volume. This looks pretty benign to me. And instead of red, we got 3 greens here. I don't see any bearishness here. I just see sideways. This is a little bearish. This is the shy. This is interest rates, short-term interest rates. Box breakout here. When this goes up, rates are going up. When this is going down, rates are going down. Pardon me. I got this all mixed up. When price here is going up, rates go down. When price is dropping like that, rates are going up. So what's going on with interest rates? They're going to be dropping. Interest rates dropping means more affordability for homes, for stuff, for cars. So there it is. SMH, the tariff tantrum, the sideways box. Look at that. Buyers stepped up big here. Have the buyers sold in size? No, because you had the big uptrend here. No signals, colors, or anything like that. Yeah, 3 big down weeks, but a big, maybe a puke out. Look at the level compared to priors. A big puke out volume bar? Probably. I'd say the odds are probably favoring an up week this next week. But we'll see. And an up week might just mean a sideways range. We're not crashing, but it doesn't mean a new uptrend. S&P 500 tariff tantrum again, the big volume right there, the yellow bar. See how easy this is? But look at that. There's your signal right there. If you heeded the signal, sold, well, you got out roughly here, and you avoided the pain here. And now we see, is it going to go down or go up? I don't know. But the evidence we've seen from the other charts might suggest the puke out volume. Throw away the positions. People have cash again. Yeah, look at that on the SPYs. Biggest sell volume bar since right here. And look at that. It's barely moved. Again, more evidence that this Friday was a puke out. Sentiment indicators. Did we hit a low sentiment? Well, barely right there. Hard to say. Not super conclusive, but it did hit the very bottom edge. So maybe we'll mark that like there. What is that? The 200-day? That looks like almost a hammer. But we'll see. Nothing crazy on the stocks above the 200-day moving average, 44%. Stocks above the 40-day, this shows more of the weakness. But did it get down to these low buy levels? No, it did not. When this gets down into here, I'm buying. If it gets below the green line, I'll buy without even looking. I won't even do any analysis. I'll just buy shit. When you get up here, maybe it's a good time to be selling. See how this stuff works? All right, let's the tan, a big pink bar, bearish signal. We'll see how this does. Solar's not my favorite, but it's made a nice comeback. In fact, let's see. See, solar's had a nice run like here, but its history is kind of checkered. Volume. There's the volume. They stepped up. Buyers stepped up. So I don't know. We'll see. TLTs, treasuries, short-term rates coming down. Longer-term rates are not moving as much. But you see the big move right here. Have rates gone as high as they're going to go? Probably. The VIX, look at that panic. Darvas box, we had the panic here, and then the immediate drop back. But then no, it started going back up. Panic here. What's probably going to happen? It'll probably drop back to these lower levels. The VIX doesn't tend to stay high. The winning trade on volatility is always usually to sell volatility, except when volatility is going up and people are scared. If volatility reaches up here, just buy it, buy. The history of volatility is kind of fascinating. This one's commercial real estate. In many ways, I wonder why I even track this, but sideways, no big deal. Energy, XLE, energy prices ticking up a little bit, but maybe not. Energy is mostly sideways. I thought this was more important, but look at that, sold down. So I don't know, we'll see. Financials. Look at this. Box. Then it tried to sell down out of the box, but what did it do? Once it got below, undercut it, they're buying. They're buying Mortimer. So, anyways, and last XLU, this could be a sideways range. This is utilities. Maybe right there, but you see, this is why you need the low to settle. Is that the low? 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 No, it keeps going, trying to make lows. But this sector, because of AI and power generation, is probably going to be bullish for a long time. So we'll see. Okay, enough indexes. So we've seen in the indexes, there's been a lot of volume prints, a lot of potential hammers, a lot of buying on this weakness. So the odds, as we start to assess probabilities, the odds are pointing to maybe a bounce this week. All right, let's get into the stocks list. So list 2, these are stocks which had what I call a textbook Darvas box breakout. And you can see this list is kind of short. AMD, first one up here. So AMD is kind of funny. It went up all the way here and then stopped on the big signal right there and then went sideways to down for over a year. And I actually made good money shorting this in here and here and then covered here. And then it turned around, had the box breakout right there. I need to, on a yellow bar signal. And did I buy here? No. I bought 3 weeks later here, captured everything, sold it right here. And then it went sideways. I didn't have any. And then it had this huge breakout here. I missed it. It went up. Did I buy? I have no signals in here. And now what did it do? It went to the low here. And what did I do now? Opportunity knocks. Yeah, I was a buyer there. Went below the lowest portion here. Yeah, I'll buy. I'll buy some of that. See how it went up? I missed the whole thing here. And now in the panic, I'm in right at 200. That's how you can evaluate these opportunities. And I miss stuff all the time. But as long as you keep watching and so long as you have a decent framework, you can then capture potential opportunities that you may have missed before. I sold here. I thought I was the smart guy, and I was. I was smart for approximately, 3 months, and then blammo. Maybe I wasn't so smart. So, anyways, that's a successful one. We'll see how it goes. Knock on wood. Caterpillar, box breakout here, moving higher. Yeah, you got a little bit of signals, but is, is Caterpillar any panic in here in Cat? No. This one looks fantastic. I bet you this keeps going higher. Might go up another couple hundred points. Cat looks great. Comp, there's a yellow bar signal here and a box breakout here. When everything is panicking, is selling, this one's breaking out. Should this be on your watch list? Hell yeah. Whether you want to buy it or not, well, your choice. But it looks great. Find the stuff that's working. Ford Motor Company. I think Ford is fantastic. Now, was it giving a ton of signals in here? Maybe one right there. But you had the sideways range. It tried to break out. This is what I'm talking about. This humongous volume bar. Went up, came back down. Now it's forming a box. Has the low been set? I'm going to guess this is the low, but it could go lower and I'd have to reset the box. But this volume, generational volume, look at the size of that volume. Whoa, whoa, whoa. It's the biggest volume bar in its history. If the buyers are stepping up here on Ford and they bought between let's call it 1175 and 1375, do you think that they think that that's all the stock's going to do? I would venture that this here big money probably thinks Ford's going to double. Otherwise, why would you put this much money in? Billions of dollars into it? And it's within your buy range. What's their average cost? Probably, let's call it $12.75. It's probably right there at their average. You could buy at their average price. Buy it and just sit on it, hold it for a year. I'll bet you get a double. I have Ford Motor Company in our family trust, so I don't need to buy it in my trading account. I bet you it goes back to the highs. Don't ignore the volume. Volume is not dirty. Volume is volume. General Electric. Ooh, that's actually a little bearish. Wonderful trend. Look at this. All the way from right back here. Up, 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 up. But, say you get the box breakout here. Not the greatest one. Sort of a bullish signal, sort of. And then it belly flopped. Now, if you've been holding forever, you're probably not selling on that break. But if you bought it right there, well, then, yeah, you got to get out. Start over. If I was long this from way down here, yeah, I'd sit and do nothing. But this one actually shouldn't even be here. That is bearish. Here you go, GH, box breakout here. Yellow bar buy signal here. Notice here it was a sell down, but no. Oh, you're selling? Thank you, we're buying. Very important sequence right there. If you bought, but then you had to have patience, and then it really moved. And now you're facing, if you bought it here, almost a double. And it's probably going higher because, look, it hardly did anything during this last 3 weeks. Fantastic. Healthcare. Garden Health, healthcare. Remember the IYH? Going up. Something's going on in healthcare. Grail. The Holy Grail. So I was a buyer here. I completely missed it here. I missed this whole setup. Darvas box breakout went up. Yeah, it got a little dicey in here. I saw it down in here and I'm like, well, I don't know. And then when it started recovering, Yeah, you gotta buy. You gotta at some point. You just gotta buy. Green volume here. Is there any red volume? No. So this one probably is the same as GH. I probably should have bought GH, but GH pisses me off a little bit because I was trading it here, here, here. I traded it here, here, here. In fact, I traded it all during in here, and it was such a difficult hole when really the actual, real, true live signal was right here. You could have bought it here on this one, but then you'd have to live through all this chop and disappointment. You'd have had to believe. Whereas this is much more clear right here. So I buy Grail. Louis, LEU. This is bad. Wonderful breakout down here. Formed another box here. Breakout here. Went up. Oh, signal failure. Look at that. Came all the way back down. And now it's kind of violated the box there. Is this one over? Probably not. But it went from 460 down to 240. Yikes. 50% retracement. When it doesn't hold the gains like that, you gotta wonder. Lemonade, woke car insurance, liberal woke car insurance. They don't offer it in Florida, so I never really paid attention to it. But you have a nice box breakout here. Couple of signals in here. I don't know. It's, things got kind of messy, but then came back strong and now broke out again. Remember insurance? IAK? Insurance is setting up. See how this is all interrelated. SanDisk, SNDK. Some people have asked for this stock. Well, there you have it. There's your Darvas box setup, your launch breakout, and then look at this uptrend. Fantastic. But now look what's happened. You had a bearish signal here. It's sold down. Sure, it had a lot of buyers here, but oof, look at the sellers here. So if this is going to come back and have a positive day, maybe it comes back up to, maybe it comes back up to here. But imagine a sideways base going sideways here. That's what I would envision between 200 and 240 as the market figures out, is this a top? How much more cheese is on this? The market could be saying that man, based on the volumes, this thing's peaked. And it goes sideways here. It may be volatile. So if you're still long, yeah, it's probably going back up. But is it gonna rip to new highs to 500? Boy, that's a tough call. It would depend upon the action and what's going to happen December and January. But a hell of a good trade if you picked it up at $50, 53, 54, 55, 60. Wow, you did fantastic. Walmart, look at that. When everything's crashing, Walmart has a box breakout. Pretty cool. Walmart's a juggernaut. I mean, it's just incredible. Look at that. But notice here, we've got 9 names on the box breakouts. Kind of a thin list. In a bull market, that list is much bigger. All right, let's go to bullish signals. Apple. Look at that. Apple hardly budged. The reason this is on a bullish signal list and not the breakout is because it had a box breakout here, and then it violated it here, but then it had the yellow bar bullish signal, and ever since then it's been up. How much panic selling occurred in Apple here? I think Apple's going higher. Look at that. Do I own Apple? No. Well, in the family trust and ETFs and stuff. If you own a technology ETF, you own Apple. So, but that looks like it's going higher. Berkshire, big sideways box. Well, let's go back here. Box breakout. And it went up, but on huge volume. Formed another sideways box. Then it formed a box within a box. Notice what's happened here, though. It had a breakdown here. Uh-oh. And then buyers responded with more buying than selling and a yellow bar signal. So America's not dead. And neither is Warren. Not yet. Plus, they bought Google. That's a good sign. Now, box breakout here. But this is just positive action within the larger context. It still could go sideways for another 6 months or a year. I mean, who knows? But don't bet against America. CrowdStrike, box breakout. Oh, it violated it. That's not good. But CRWD is a massive winner. Google, probably the AI winner, right? Well, broke out here, but not on any particularly big volume. Moving up, broke out again, but missing the volume. But look at the green volume bars. Eventually, the buyers are buying. Green, green, green. Google's a winner. It's only accelerating. What's happening during the market sell-off? They are buying Google. What more do you need? Lennar, home builder. Why is it on this list? Because of this big, gigantic volume bar. Biggest volume since 2009. Look at that. Somebody's making a statement here that Lennar is positioned to be a big winner. It's also a bullish shooter bar. Sorry, not a shooter, a hammer bar. It had the bearish, now the bullish. But look at that volume. Wow. That's a statement. Keep an eye on that one. Micron. Box breakout here, no volume. That's why it's on this list, on the other. Look at the futility of going the sideways here. All these buyers from June to April, and it had a breakdown. And then what happens on the breakdown? That's when it starts to move. There's that yellow bar buy signal right there. And then after that, it commenced a big uptrend. But now we've got signals galore. Probably sort of like SanDisk, might recover a little bit. Is it going to new highs? It's probably going to go sideways for a while. So in a couple months, they'll decide this one's fate. Maybe it goes sideways and then rips higher as demand keeps going. I don't know. Steel. Box breakout here and then down and then back up. But I don't really want to buy steel, but that's keeping an eye on things. NVIDIA. Controversial company. Increasingly controversial. Still the king. I'm short at 200. So far, this has been working. And you saw the green in Google. Where's the big green in NVIDIA? There hasn't been any big green since the tariff tantrum. Where are the buyers? A bit more sellers. Very interesting, huh? But I've shorted it, not on any signal here, but because I wanted to. And it's the biggest company in the world, and it's super liquid, so I can get out in a pinch. But I don't know. If Google has invented an alternative to NVIDIA chips, interesting. But technically, should it be on this list? No, it shouldn't. It's broken the box, the breakout. So technically, we'll put it on bearish. This one, Path. God almighty. The big volume here is what I like. but it didn't really have much of a move here. No box range or anything. It just went up. So buy the pullback. Well, I first bought the pullback. Where did I buy it? Here. And now it went farther. So I sold it and then I rebought it. Took a small loss on it. This one's just a pain in the ass, but I believe in the overall. I'll put this right in here. Normally I list my trades in here. It'd be like a blue, red. Try and plot your trades, because then you can see, well, why did I buy it here when there's no signal? Why did I buy it here? Why was I buying here or here? When you put colors of where you made your trades, then you can see, did I do a good job? Did I not? I thought these ones were a good job. Well, they weren't, because the stupid stock kept going down. So we'll see if this is the low. What I like about this one is we go to the monthly. We have a box breakout here on the monthly. We have a yellow bar buy signal here. Sure, it came back down, gave it back up, which happens. But look at the Bollinger Bands. I don't know if you've ever studied Bollinger Bands. When they squeeze together like that, it means something is going to happen. Now, something could be up or something could be down. I don't know. Here's the last time it squeezed and it went up. Now, granted, was it short-lived? Yeah, but so maybe if this rips back up, then this buy might be a great spot. But I don't know. I do know that people were paying 17 and 18 bucks for this only a month ago. So maybe 13 is a pretty good deal. We shall see. All right, Stinger, also bullish here, box breakout, and then the continuation. Man, I thought I marked a lot of these volumes, but continuation moved higher, moved up here. Where's the volume? I don't know, but oil prices, smidging up. Tanker prices going up too. But notice this is a pretty small list of bullish stocks. You want to see a big list? How about the bearish list? Ooh, boy. I got 82 stocks in this list. Crazy, huh? So it shows the difference that your average stock got crushed in this little 3-week pullback. 3 weeks here. Yet there's 82 names that failed or gave bearish signals. AOI, there's a failure. White bar sell, looks awful. And by putting these are also avoids. Why should I be trading these when there's other stocks with better characteristics? Affirm, box breakdown. No volume though, but not a healthy pattern, not a bullish pattern. A-Lab, box breakdown. See, it's hanging down here. Sure, you could say, oh, I'm buying a bottom. It's going to go back up. Is it? Where the green, last time there was big green volume here was back in September. Where's the big green volume? Look for evidence. Big green volume. That's what you want. Means they're buying it. Amazon, box breakout here. Nope. Gave up the ghost. White bar sell signal. It's back in this huge box range. Is Amazon a number one on your list? I think Google's better. Would you agree? If you don't agree, something's wrong with you. I have many opinions, but they do change often. APP, box breakout here, went up. No real colors. Yeah, sure, it peaked right here, but, on the huge volume and all that. But any big selling? No. It's simply bearish because it's went below its box. But if you were going to buy this one, say, oh, this is a low, this has a better odds than A-Lab that we just looked at. ARQQ, Quantum, there's your sell signal right there. I took advantage of it. I bought it here, sold it here, bought it here, sold it here. Look at this buy. It worked out, but there were no signals. There were some signals, I think, on the, yeah, right there. I bought it off of that. But that's because I wanted a quantum, and I thought that was a good spot. But no real signal, and it did work out. But I'm smart enough to know that buying a no real signal, you get a real good, strong shooter bar signal there. Yeah, get the hell out. And look at that. Did I short it? No, I'm dumb. I should have shorted it. Oh well. You see any bullish signs here? Nope. Don't touch it. ASTS. Yeah, I missed it here on the white bar signal, and I felt like a fool. Look at that right there. But I redeemed, made a little money on it, bought it here, sold it here. Look at that. I'm a master trader, right? Woo! Where's my video? How come nobody's written a book about me? I don't know. Okay, next one. Boeing. Box breakdown here. Signals. Oof. Bad signal. White bar signal. Look at that. Down. Any big green buying volume? Nope. Avoid it. BE. Look at that. You had this huge buying volume here. And then the long consolidation, the box breakdown here. God, what a torture. And then finally you got your go signal right here. And then after the go signal, up. One warning sign here, but the reaction. Signal, reaction to signal. Look at that reaction. The reaction week, it went higher and made new highs. Up. Then another signal down here. Again, probably sideways. This probably needs three to 6 months before something new happens. Is this a new sideways box? Probably. Needs a few more weeks to form up. That's a good guess. But it's still technically on the bearish list for now. BLDR, housing. Bullish hammer bar, but we need that reaction to be higher. Now, what's interesting about this is a home supplier. You're getting that kind of volume on Len. Well, does that mean BLDR, that's a good buyable low? It might. You know, it might be a good way is to buy some calls on this. Don't put a lot of cash out, but buy some calls. Buy some 115 calls. If it pans out, great. If it doesn't, you've only lost a couple bucks. But you see the correlations. That's what we're looking for. Bros, just negative. Box breakdown here, done nothing. I had it in here. I had it here. I sold it here. And I still have never been to a Bros location. Kava, who's eating at Kava? Look at that. I remember talking smack about it up here, and some people on Stock Twits got so angry. And look at it. Because you had the breakdown here, the big white bar sell signal here, and ever since then, clunk. Nothing going on there. Sell H. I tried it in here. I just couldn't hold it, so I gave up on it. It went up. I missed out on these gains, but now, clunk, ouch. That's kind of ugly. Avoid. Coin, box breakdown. Look at that. Ugly. Costco. Isn't it interesting that Costco looks like this when Walmart's breaking out, and yet cost is threatening the downside? I wonder why. Pink bar signal, pink bar signal, and pink bars are warning signals. They're not omens, they're not guarantees, they're just warning. Whoa, sit up and pay attention. Like this was great here, but when you saw this, ooh, what should you do? Sit up and pay attention. But bearish because it's been sort of down ever since then. Circle, oof. Maybe this one will turn around. I don't know, but why bother? Puke, puke. Back to the IPO range, but I think we need to wait for some green volume to show up. Yeah, CrowdStrike, again, it failed the box here. That's why it's on this list. CoreWeave. I've never gone long the stock. I've only shorted it. I've shorted it 4 times now. One here, covered here. Once here, covered here. Once here, covered here. And now shorted again here. And look at that. I got the box breakdown. I think this one is going to zero. But I've never actually sat on a short to zero. But currently, it's gone from 140 to 70. I'm up 50%. That really helps when the market turns. But we'll see what happens. If it goes back into the box here, like 90 or 85, then I'll probably cover it and declare victory. But while it's down here, let's let it run and see what happens. Maybe it goes down further. Carvana, I'm short Carvana. I've made some money, but man, this is the toughest one. Oh, they keep running it higher and then it crashes. This one is so hard, but because I got it right off of the hammer bar, a hammer, I keep making a mistake. It's a shooter bar. The bearish shooter bar here went short afterwards. All this volatility, and this was a scary moment, but all this volatility just playing into my trend following. If this continues to have problems, thunk, maybe down there, and then that'll be fantastic. But I run a long short portfolio. I have a portion of my portfolio dedicated to shorts, which hedges out the volatility, and then longs. The shorts make money, and if I make 20% on a short, I'm thrilled. If I make more than that, I'm ecstatic. The big money is in the longs. But by running both sides, you smooth out your returns, and when bad days happen, you don't get crushed. Dash looking horrible. Dash had the great uptrend, but oof. Is Dash representing the American consumer now? That's ugly. That's ugly. I never understood Dash, why people pay so much to get, a bag of McDonald's delivered to them. I just don't get it. You lazy fuck. Just go get in the car and drive there. But that's me. Dave. Pink bar warning, pink bar warning, pink bar warning. Net result, sideways. But here's the problem. Big red, small green. Big red, big red, big red. Where's the big green, like back in here? That's the one you want. Volume. A hedge fund manager friend of mine really likes this stock. I told him, open an account, see what it's all about. I think he did. But I haven't talked to him in a little bit, so we'll see. Deckers. Ugh, just gave it up here when the tariffs, I guess. Look how awful this is. Avoid. Docu, long sideways, box breakdown, avoid. Elf, breakdown here. Make this look a little better. Box breakdown here, and then the clunk. Notice what's missing in all of this, the big green volume. You got it here. Does your stock have big green volume bars? If it doesn't, maybe you're not in the right stock. Does your stock have big green volume bars on a regular basis? Yeah, they want that. Things to think about. ENPH. I gave up trying to draw on this, but look at this. From down in here, I shorted it up here, it's covered here. I should have kept it on, but oh well. Like I said, I've never ridden a stock down to zero, or most shorts are short-term in nature. Fly, God, is this just the worst IPO ever? Look at that. Ugh. GE, yep, we know about that. Just a slight down. That'll probably come off this list. Geo, you'd think with all the immigration stuff, this would be going up, but nope. Clunk. Nothing positive here. GEV, they say they love it, but pink bar warning signal and a box breakdown. Be careful with this one. This is one where you demand, show me your going back up green or I'll sell you. And in fact, I think the way I'd play this, we have this in the family trust. I am not allowed to totally sell it because my siblings do like it, but I would argue if it breaks this lows here, sell it. Galaxy. A techie friend of mine thinks this is great, a Silicon Valley Israeli fella. Hey, E, what's happening? If you're listening, E likes this one a lot. I don't know much about it. I'm concerned about that sequence. Buyer, we got to buy. No, man, we got to sell. See the messaging right there? Clunk, clunk, clunk. I'd say this one needs more work. GME, box breakout. Oh, no, signals, bear, forget it, down. GME is old news. I bet you GME goes down to $10. I'm so impressed with Roaring Kitty, but long-term GME, no. The GER, box breakdown. Hymns. Huge sideways, but look at that. White bar sell signal. Clunk, clunk, clunk. Where's the green volume? Hood. Went up and down. Violated the box breakout right there, but doesn't look awful. Maybe that's a good buy spot on this moving average. I don't know. I will draw a box, but you see how the low has not been set? I need 2 weeks. Ooh, I just looked over and we're already at an hour mark, so we'll speed this up. Interactive. I use Interactive, and I can't stand their apps, but I use them because, unfortunately, my favorite TD Ameritrade got destroyed by Charles Schwab. But Interactive is where to go if you want low margin rates and stuff like that. And I use a lot of margin. But bearish, white bar, box breakdown. Quantum, bearish signal, bearish shooter, clunk, 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 clunk. All the signs were there. Did I short it? No. Just because, you can only do so much. This one, I'm very proud of this one. I shorted this one on their deal. Bearish signal. Now, still crazy going. And this deal they announced up there, I thought was such a terrible deal. I shorted it, and look at that. Paid off in spades. I think it's such a terrible deal that they did. They take all the risk, all the costs, and their partner literally gets all the benefits. It's just insane. Jumia, warning sign, box breakdown, but very mild. I keep an eye on stuff. This actually could be a cup and handle maybe on the monthly. Cup and handle, wouldn't that be something? Keep an eye on things. I'll stash names in various spots. JP Morgan, man, warning signals galore, but ends up going sideways. My dad loves Jamie Dimon, and my dad owns a bunch of this. Keeps going higher. Lou, we know about that. LPC, LPM. One other one I keep an eye on. Ugh, just awful. Meta. Box breakdown here. Came back up and then clunk. Meta doesn't look so good because they're spending money like drunken sailors. Monday. Ugh. Box breakdown here. Look at that huge red volume. Sideways, formed another box, clunk, down again. This stock can't do anything right. I keep an eye on it, but I'll never trade it. Microsoft, Darvas box breakdown. That's not so good. Did you guys know that these big tech has hundreds of billions of dollars in debt? Now, I don't know the precise numbers, but I always thought, I'm like, wow, that just blows me away. Credit default swaps on Oracle, skyrocketing. Isn't that insane? MicroStrategy, Mike Saylor is in trouble. I've read that he's in trouble because in 2026, they're going to have to start paying cash dividends, I guess, on whatever financing they've done. And where's he going to get the money? I don't know. But that doesn't look too good. NBIS, bearish box breakdown. It tried to rebound here, but closed down. I bought a little bit of it at the close here, but I don't know. We'll see. This is really a flyer. It's not a big position, but I bought a little bit because, frankly, I missed out on this whole big run. The box breakout right here, sure, it went sideways a little bit. Then the huge breakout here, super volatile. So that's like that AMD buy. You know, I missed the big breakout, but it's pulled back enough where maybe I should try it. So we'll see. If it goes back to 95, then I might add and double up and then feel comfortable. Because that would give me a cost basis of about $89.90. I could live with that. We'll see. Net, the most overvalued company. I have no idea why they love this one this much. But pink bar signal, bearish, downwards, eventually is forming a box. We'll see. Netflix, all my boxes got taken off, but you can basically see the pink bar down here. My boxes got taken off because it's split. So I'll have to redraw everything again. I don't want to redraw them. If I was to redraw it, it probably looks something like this. And there's your box breakdown. See how easy this is to do? And because it's a negative, I'll color it red. This one, 2 bear shooters in a row, and it's down. Surprise. Not a surprise. Now, box breakdown, I'm short now. I think software, something's gone wrong with this one in here. And I think the software they make is so basic. You know, IT tickets, really? You need to buy their software to handle an IT ticket? Where it goes to somebody and then they don't do anything and they say, please provide us a screenshot. Oh, geez, stop. But it's at 800. Yeah, it could go down a lot. NVIDIA, we know it broke the level of the box. Oklo, there's your signal. You wanna short this one? Bearish shooter bar right there. If you color your charts, you can, gosh, come on. You can see turning points. Now, did I buy this here? No, I didn't. But that's a clear sell signal. The only thing that's in its favor is the volume wasn't huge, and the volume has gotten low here. I bet this might they might run it back up here at some point. Maybe. But not a lot of red, big red. That's the most interesting thing about it. Look at that. Green, 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 green. Interesting. Open. Box breakdown right here, but no real red on here. I bet you if we have a green week, this rebounds. Watch for the big green. Oracle. The huge box breakout here, and what did they do? They sold it down. And that's like I was talking about, you read the credit default swaps. Insane. I had no idea they had so much debt. This one, box breakdown. I keep an eye on this, but it's really a mess. It's garbage. This one here, box breakdown. I don't know much about it. Look at that big bear shooter bar. And the market was so crazy the 2 weeks after. It went up, but then wasn't sustainable. Palo Alto, white bar sell signal. That's bearish. PI, yeah, broke the box here. Nice breakout here, though. Boy, it's been where all my volume stuff go? I don't know. PLTR tried to break out and got the last 3 weeks here. Yeah, bear signal, but what's missing on this chart? Big green volume. Look back here. Green, 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 green. Now you just get big red, big red. Where's the green? I don't know. Qubits, yep, box breakdown, quantum. Ferrari, people getting poorer. Now this is a good volume sequence here. Sell, no, we're buying, but look at that, box breakdown here. Ferrari may have some problems, maybe coming back down to 300 maybe. I don't know. Roblox, box breakdown, and then continued selling. These people are very weird. Every time they mention pedophiles, they and child predators on their platform, they sort of just go shrug, okay. It's very odd. And I would have question marks about this. And by the way, that's all based on news stories. So if I'm wrong, we'll see how it goes. Rubric, the big sell bar, some buying. That literally is what saved its ass. And now just slowly coming down. It needs more green. Reddit, box breakdown right there. Nothing crazy, but bearish. RGTI, there's your bearish shooter bar. What more signal do you need? But again, the one thing in this one's favor, the volume is down. But that may change if this gets worse. These guys all sold. Management has no stake. Why would you, be involved in that? Rocket Lab, I bought it back here, sold it up here. Great trade. Do I see anything that makes me want to rebuy it? No. Root. Oh, sideways. Actually, it recovered a little bit here. Remember how insurance is hot? IAK. So this one's not really all that hot, but the insurance sector is doing better. Why is the insurance sector doing better and this one's not? That's a bigger question. SE. Oh, okay. Here's an example of premature box drawing. Let's get back to this here. So we got a box top right there. Well, the low's right there, right? Nope. The low's there, right? Nope, 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 nope. Hasn't formed a low. So where's the box? I don't know. Because the low keeps getting lower. Look at that, red, 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 red. I traded SE way back in here, sold it here, and I never went back. Now I guess I'm kind of glad it's back to where I sold it. SEI, yeah, signal, sell, Sezzle, ugh, look at that, just horrible. Sometimes I keep stocks on here, just keep an eye on them so I know not to trade them. Shopify, there's your signal here, down, but it's just going to form another box. SMR, down. Shark Ninja, down. Forming another box, but Spotify, box breakdown. Look at that right there. Warning signal here, came back. More sideways. Nope, rolling over. T-Doc, ugh, just awful. I keep thinking this one might turn around, and I've used their services. I think they're good service, but not meant to be. TEM, why people think this was a great one, I do not know. You had the yellow bar signal here, but it just trades sloppy. You had this signal right here, but it's just a very difficult one. And now it tried to break out, failed. Now a real clunker of a bar. Where's the big green volume? I don't know. People seem to love it, just like they love Tesla. Elon's a fascinating guy, but Tesla stock, box breakdown here, and now kind of a weird bar here. I know a lady who traded this, Vicky. She lost a lot of money trading it. Vicky, please stop trading this because she's convinced it's going higher, and it's not. So we'll see what happens. Uber, box breakdown. Uber overcharges. I like Lyft better. UMAC, I tried this one here twice. I've barely made any money on this. Now it's giving it up. Yeah, just avoid it. Upstart. Man, I wish I'd shorted it. Look at that. AI seems to be a little overrated, but that's my opinion. URI, equipment, down. That's not so hot for the economy. VST, power, box breakdown here. Where's the big green volume on here? It's just not there. And as a bonus, we'll go into, I don't really have anything in that one, I forgot. And list 6 is stuff I'm just keeping an eye on, where it's not maybe super bearish or whatever arm, nothing much happening. Broadcom, that's interesting. Tried to break out, came back down. But I keep stuff on this list just to keep an eye on stuff. BWXT, CEG, look at that little sideways action. This one, had some positive going, but belly flop. Credo, look at that, still sideways. I traded it here, sold here, sideways, but Basically, I'm waiting for good stuff to happen on this stuff, just keeping an eye on it. I could put Dell in the bearish list, but there's already plenty. DHI, probably a box. FIG, I don't even know what they do. I have no idea. GGAL, Argentina, IoT, sideways. Lift, breakout, belly flop. But no big red selling, so maybe that's something to keep an eye on. Moderna, you bastards. Qubit, some little quantum. Rocket Mortgage. I loved it in here. I traded it. Just didn't do a good job trading, but finally picked one. Made my nut in it here. Tried it back again. Didn't go anywhere, and I'm just waiting for a real signal. RDX defense. That's forming a box. Sunrun. Here's one which I look for solar. Maybe this one's got potential. I don't know. Snow, See, I'm looking for signals. SoFi. SoFi is interesting because it went nowhere forever, went up here, the tariff tantrum came back down, and then it kept moving up. It didn't make any box ranges. It just kept moving up in the market. Then it finally made a box, tried to break out here. No, rejected. Came back down, but you see it's bouncing in the box. It's hard to say whether that's positive or negative. You'd have to go to the monthly. Monthly is positive. You've got the box breakouts here and here. So you almost want to trade this one on a monthly basis and not a weekly basis. So let's see, STX. I missed STX. It just did nothing here and then took off. No real signals. You do have a box range, but just kind of a hard one. It happens where some stocks don't form anything and then they just go. Those ones are harder for me to buy because, it's harder to get conviction in them. TGTX, yeah, just more sideways. UNH, I thought healthcare was going up. Well, maybe not them. Venom, good for oil and gas income. VRT, WDC. WDC, another example of it just goes. I suppose you could call this something like this. And then look at that. It just turned around and ripped. But are you going to buy this betting that it continues going up forever? Well, hard to say. This one, IPO, keeping an eye on it, done nothing. The Zim, I keep an eye on shipping. Look at that. It's actually going up a little bit. I wouldn't buy this one because this is a trash company, but that's the list 6. So anyways, that's what we got there. I did promise to do a few, well played, sir. Thank you. ARM. To do a few of these. I apologize, this video is taking a lot longer. Oh man. There we go. ARM. What the hell? Sideways on ARM. Huge sideways. Let's look at the monthly. Tried to break out. Well, maybe there's a little thing there. But is this a total mess or what? Whoop. So I don't see anything going on in ARM. This is just pain. SoFi, we just did SoFi. Rocket Lab. I did Rocket Lab earlier. I don't see anything in Rocket Lab. I bought, I sold. It's at an $19 billion valuation. That's pretty high. How about monthly? Monthly, yeah, you get the breakout here, but it's just sort of churning. Does it have any setups you want to buy? And no. So I would just say you gotta watch and let it develop more. Whoop. Mo. Big Mo. Ooh, look at that. White bar sell signal. A big uptrend. Look at that. The yellow bar right back here. So uptrend to here. I would almost say that Mo is a sell. You bought it here. You rode the trend from 42 to the 60s, whatever. You got dividends, but that's a pretty big sell signal. Let's look at the monthly. Well, the monthly looks more okay. If you're in this for income, maybe keep it. But if you're just trading it, I don't know. Maybe this recovers and then starts going higher again. But do you want to own tobacco stocks? If you're owning it and going for the dividends, well then yeah, keep it forever. But hard to say. Any other SanDisk? Yeah, we did SanDisk. Adobe. Okay, this is the monthly view. Does that look good? Sell, 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 sell. I don't think. Ugh, on the weekly view. Sir, please avoid Adobe. This is a slow boat to nowhere. It's full of pain. That is a bullish bar right there, but there's hardly any volume. I don't see any reason to own Adobe. Sweat, I don't know there. The bump stock. Bump stocks are good. Go GLD, we did. So we got that there. Debt, oh, just talking. Anything in here? AMD, yep, we did AMD. And do I have anything? Oh, NBIS, yeah, we did that. Come on, Richard, you put 3 of them in here? Talked about all of them. Rocket, talked about that. All right, so I think that's a good point to stop. So anyways, we saw on the indexes, oh, there's AMD. So we saw on the indexes what might be puke outs. There we go. Puke outs, there might be not many sellers right now going into this next week. So I'm looking for potential rebound week leading ultimately to more sideways weeks. So hope you enjoyed this video, and if you have any questions, let me know on the Twitter. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.